but I'm officially 3 for 3 on being fined by the WNBA.
Holy shit. For this? For the pod? Again?
They didn't like my comments on Paige Becker's.
No way.
I didn't even say anything bad.
The growing frustration has exploded into outright outrage. What started as quiet disappointment has now become a vocal outcry on platforms like Twitter, Reddit, and every major sports forum. Supporters of Sophie Cunningham have reached their limit. They are openly criticizing the team, the front office, and anyone attempting to silence her. Fans are no longer accepting excuses, especially when it seems clear that something more serious is happening behind the scenes. Many believe Sophie is not just being ignored, she is being actively held back by an organization more focused on controlling the narrative than supporting its players or letting the truth come out. Her fan base is now demanding transparency, accountability, and most importantly, Sophie Cunningham's endorsement.
About the league, but more importantly, she stated she got another fine for actually talking about Paige Beckers. Now, we all ultimately know what happened last time she had her podcast. She let it be known that Paige Beckers got that blue blood whistle, bro. And make a long story short, she stated the WNBA fined her for that. And she spoke about Bree Hartley. She also talked about Caitlin Clark rehab. But guys, it's unfortunate that she will be out for the remainder.
The story is spreading rapidly, and fans everywhere are rallying behind Sophie Cunningham. Supporters are urging her to continue speaking out, arguing that if the WNBA punishes players merely for expressing their opinions, it signals a much larger problem within the league. This issue goes far beyond missed shots or a poor season. It's about a system that seems to have lost sight of what freedom of expression means. When athletes fear fines, suspensions, or being publicly silenced for telling the truth, it reveals serious flaws in the league structure. Fans are no longer staying silent. They are demanding transparency, accountability, and, above all, that Sophie Cunningham's voice not be silenced simply because it challenges those in power.
So, lads, the WNBA have done it. They have done it. They have officially fined Sophie Cunningham every podcast episode. They have fined her. Sophie Cunningham has been fined. I'm not joking. She's been fined for a TikTok. She's been fined now, I think, for the third time for a podcast. I think Sophie Cunningham might be the all-time leader in fines in the WNBA. So let's take...
The player willing to speak the truth while others stay silent has finally broken her silence about the deliberate attempts to quiet her. Her recent statements have pulled back the curtain on a league that promotes empowerment while punishing honesty. What started as straightforward commentary on her podcast has now ignited a major debate over transparency, integrity, and who truly controls the narrative in the WNBA. One thing is clear: Sophie Cunningham isn't giving in. She's standing firm, calling out a system that would rather try to silence her than face the uncomfortable truths she refuses to ignore.
Are not protecting their players. Nobody's going to watch this if you're not protecting your star players. You're not protecting your players, period. But particularly your star players. No one's going to watch this. People are watching it because of Caitlin Clark, and then even more because of Sophie Cunningham. And if you're going to just hang them out to dry, then, good. Nobody's going to watch this anymore because they don't protect their players. It's a worthless organization. They have no idea how to protect their players. But, oh man, they're going to bitch and moan. Well, you better pay us the money. For what? You can't even protect your star players that draw the eyeballs. Now nobody's watching. Nobody's going to watch to see the star players sitting out with injuries because of poor treatment and poor officiating on the sides. Nobody's going to watch.
If you're enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe. What was meant to be a relaxed podcast episode about basketball and everyday life quickly became another example of the WNBA controlling its narrative. Sophie Cunningham launched her podcast, Show Me Something, with co-host Wasai Wilson, hoping for real, unfiltered conversations about the league she represents. Instead, she learned a hard lesson. In the WNBA, speaking truth to power comes at a cost. And while the fines may be small, the message is clear. Honesty isn't always welcomed.
She has turned herself into a top 5 most talked about player in the WNBA. And can I tell you, I am loving the clips that are coming out of this podcast. There's just so much fascinating elements of her that make her this really alpha, really strong, but really beautiful, spicy villain. And I think she kind of likes...
I'm officially 3 for 3 on being fined by the WNBA.
Holy shit. For this? For the pod? Again?
They didn't like my comments on Paige Beckers.
No way.
I didn't even say anything bad.
On the whistle, on the quick whistle.
Yeah, but like, why? Like,
if we want to talk about Paige, here's a good question.
They fined her for saying Paige Beckers has a good whistle. Like, I kid you not, that is one of the craziest reasons I've seen a player.
What happened next was unprecedented for the WNBA. Just days after Sophie Cunningham revealed the league's controversial fine structure, fans didn't just notice, they mobilized. Suddenly, Sophie was more than a player. She became a symbol, a voice brave enough to speak the truth regardless of the cost. Social media exploded with support, with fans calling her the truth teller and demanding that the league stop penalizing athletes for stepping outside the approved narrative. The backlash was so intense that the WNBA couldn't ignore it. When Sophie finally detailed the recurring fines linked to every episode of her podcast, she didn't soften her words or hide behind corporate sanitized phrasing. Her statements cut through the PR spin, forcing everyone to confront the reality behind the league's public image.
Something seriously wrong with how the W enforces their rules. And I know there's already been a big emphasis on referee inconsistencies, but at the end of the day, the quality of referees is on the WNBA too. Because again, I have no idea where the line is. Because on one hand, I kind of get it. It's normal for a league to fine you if you're going to talk bad about the league or the players in the league. Because that happens all the time in the NBA, NFL, and so on. But on the other hand, why does the league not care about its image when players are standing over and cursing out their opponents on the court? Like, where was the enforcement here? Or where was it here? Or where was it when the whole entire league was bullying your star player? And this stuff is happening all the time in the WNBA, but why is it only called on occasion? Which is why finding Sophie Cunningham every time she has a podcast seems kind of crazy, because the WNBA obviously chooses when and when not to enforce.
Sophie Cunningham's situation is deeply concerning. She isn't being punished for lying, trash-talking, or reckless behavior. She's being targeted simply for pointing out everyday realities that any fan, analyst, or commentator could see, observations about officiating, consistency, and league operations. Yet, these seemingly harmless comments have resulted in financial penalties. The pattern is unmistakable. Sophie was fined $500 for a TikTok where she simply lip-synced lyrics while referencing referees. Hardly scandalous. She then faced a $1,500 fine for calmly discussing officiating inconsistencies on the first episode of her podcast. Her latest fine, undisclosed in amount, came for a minor comment as well. When asked how the fines are communicated, Sophie explained that it's not a formal, itemized breakdown. Instead, the team's general manager pulls her aside privately and says something like, "Hey, they're going to fine you again." This often happens in front of others, making the situation even more uncomfortable. Sophie emphasizes that she has even credited officials for their difficult job and tried to present a balanced perspective, yet the fines continue. It's clear that the system punishes transparency rather than addressing the actual issues she raises.